Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we begin week 2 of the 30-day boot camp, and this week we're going to be going over tools that make your relationship better. Real world, tangible stuff that you can do step by step to improve your relationship. Then next week we're going to cover anatomy and arousal, and then in the final week we're going to get to the creme de la creme, sex techniques. So let's get right to today's relationship improvement tool. Subtle shifts in perception can result in multifaceted changes in many different aspects of your relationship. Your thoughts and your opinions are things that you can change by choosing to change them. It's a power that we all have, whether we use it or not. A lot of people just go through their lives reacting to everything that happens to them. But when you bring awareness to the events of your life, putting them under the microscope of your consciousness, you can completely change what happens. Choosing your response to things rather than unconsciously just reacting is the pathway to a better relationship and sex life. And I'm going to give you a specific, tangible thought that you can change that will result in huge gains and improvements in your ability to connect lovingly with your partner and make her feel loved. So here it is. It's changing how you think about your partner, especially when she's doing something that annoys you or hurts you or pisses you off. Imagine her as a beautiful little child. Yep, that's it. Think of her in your mind as a beautiful, lovely little child in that moment. Whatever she's saying or what she's mad about or hurt by or whatever, just imagine that she's a little 5-year-old saying those things. Imagine she's a beautiful little girl that you love helplessly and you understand and have compassion for. It's a perspective thing. One of the things about being a loving parent is that you love your kid even when she's having a tantrum. Your love just is. Now, I'm not saying treat her like a child. No, I don't mean that. I don't mean be condescending or flippant. No. What I mean is that by imagining her as a child, it changes the way that you'll respond to her. The reason to do this is because by simply imagining that she's a child, your demeanor and the energy of your response will shift significantly. You won't be so triggered and reactive to what she's saying. You'll be able to react with compassion through the argument, soothing her with a constant undertone of love that has a bigger perspective and that can't be shaken by any single thing that causes a wave. When she's pissed or pissing you off, if you can mentally change the way you're seeing her in your mind to imagine that she's just a beautiful little 5-year-old, then you won't be so affected by the exact thing that she's saying or the exact thing that's happening, and you'll be able to respond more lovingly through the entire process. Then, respond like you would respond to a loved child, with love and understanding and compassion, with devotion and patience and care. What happens is that by doing this visualization, it removes your trigger at her emotion and her energy, and it empowers you to respond to her with love and affection. And that's wonderful. But you see, it's not the only thing about this technique that's powerful. You see, this technique also addresses something deeper about us as adults. We are each products of the things that shaped us as children and adolescents. The hurts, the joys, the successes and failures of our parents or our caregivers or lack thereof. All these things carved contours into the shapes of our being. Some in a positive manner, but some in a negative manner. Some by incorporation and some by denial and ignoring. The woman that you love is an amazingly complex and intricate constellation of responses and coping behaviors and protections. By being able to see your lover as a child, or as some people say, to see her inner child, you can begin to understand and see ways in which she was shaped by her childhood. You can begin to bring into focus ways in which traits that she has were formed as a result of things that happened to her early in her life. Let me give you an example, because examples help. Maybe she always gets pissed off at you for leaving your clothes lying around the house. If you can begin to imagine her as a child, you might be able to begin to see why she's like that. Maybe her dad left her and her mom was a drunk who never cleaned up the house and always yelled at her for not cleaning everything up. If you can understand that, then you'd be able to understand why a behavior of yours like that triggers her. And you'll be filled with compassion for her about why that trigger exists. Basically, if you can bring into focus your awareness of how she was shaped by factors in her childhood, you'll be able to find yourself more loving and compassionate. And wouldn't you want her to do that for you too? Wouldn't you? You aren't perfect, that's for sure. And you want her to forgive you your flaws and be loving to you even when you aren't the best person you can be. So do the same for her. And this technique is a tangible way to go about doing it. Just imagine she's a beautiful, lovely, amazing little child, and then love her through whatever comes up for her. And your energy will be transformed by this into compassion and patience and support. It's a little way to trick your mind that results in a big change in behavior for you. And she'll feel it and appreciate that you aren't being reactive. And then you are maintaining a state of balance and love as the storms pass through her life and through her mind and heart. Use this little trick to help you show up for her in the best way that you possibly can. Being a solid, loving, consistent man for her to be real with and count on to maintain your own center. It's a trick, a mental hack to help you in your dance with her. And the more that you demonstrate for her that she can trust you to bear the full weight of her human experience, the more she'll be willing to unfold her inner lusciousness and her sacred heart to you. Okay, so that's it for day 8 of the boot camp. Keep doing your kegels and fuck your life. And do me a favor and leave me a comment to let me know, and the other guys here doing the boot camp, how this thing is helping you or impacting your life. Hasta mañana.